Hello and welcome to yet another Samvaad. Today we are going to talk to architect Manish Kumat. Who doesn't know Manish Kumat? If you have not heard his name, you must go to Manish Kumat Design Cell website. An architect par excellent who has more than 1,000 projects under his belt. He was brainchild of Indian Institute of Interior Design. He was founder chairman of the same institute. Besides being chairman, he has also chaired very important positions in IID. We are very happy in welcoming Manish Kumat. Please welcome Manish Kumat. Thank you, Manish ji, for giving us time in auspicious day of Navratra. We are doing your interview and we are very excited to have you on our guest list. And Shubh Navratri.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very happy Navratri to you also.
Yeah, so Gujarat people go crazy in
Rather,
Navratri. You
rather, I
must have.
feel today is Ashtami. Ashtami is a very important day.
Yeah, Ashtami is a very important day. That's why we decided to have your interview on Ashtami.
Yeah,
Gujarat
yeah.
Navratri is a color of, festival of color, dance, music, and we are all very excited to have you because when I see your projects, they are also assembled of a lot of other things. Like it's like an amalgamation of functionality, design, philosophy, productivity, product design. uh, you have also kept a lot of projects, under the wrap because on your website a lot of projects are not visible, which I've heard of. When I try to look for the project which I've heard of are not on your website. So we would like to talk about those projects as well. So Manish ji, let's start with you done your school. I mean, schooling. When I say schooling, is masters at School of Design and masters in architecture and planning from New Delhi, and then you move back to Indore. And I'm sure at that time Delhi was a bigger city than Indore, but you still move back to Indore. Why is that?
What I would say is we are a very small family, uh, and I had an opportunity to move to US also, having got admission. As all other people were applying in those times, so
Hmm.
I got an invitation from a couple of universities in US in those times. But when I thought in detail, even in those times, I felt that I should be with my parents and I should try to find good opportunities in the country itself. So I moved on to Indore. Although I worked in Delhi and Mumbai for a year, and I was very clear that this working time would be not more than 15 months, to the extent that in my second job, I told my employer that I will be working only for 3 months. And then he said that why should I employ you? But then I said that, sir, I just want to learn. And then he said that we will not give you any salary. So I said it's okay because I am there to learn. So he did not give me any salary, but after 3 months he realized that yes, he has really worked hard, and then he gave me all the 3 months salary, and I was back to Indore. So I was very clear that I have to start on my own, and Indore is a city for entrepreneurs, and this city has witnessed a very good journey for me, and I am so happy that I was with my parents all the time.
What a wonderful thought to begin with. So, people normally, because I work with a foundation where we talk, we provide helping hand to young and emerging artists from hinterlands, second tier and third tier city, and they have this notion of moving to big city, whereas you choose to go to Indore, where at that time and age was much smaller than Delhi. You moved back, so हीरा कहीं पे भी होता है उसकी परख उस जगह पे हो जाती है. That's what has happened with you, and people came looking for you to Indore from all other places because when we look at the chronology of your work, you're practically work in all parts of country. So I think people and your creativity has made, and so Indore, Manish Kumat, people know that we have to go to Indore if we have to find Manish Kumat. So I think it's not the place, it's the person and people and the philosophy. So you, as you rightly said, it was your decision, and I think you have Indore, and you have seen amazing journey of your company, which is Manish Kumat Design Cell. But very interesting, when I was reading your profile, you have a very interesting design philosophy in which you say the God is the greatest designer himself, and I appreciate beauty. It's in manifestation, and try to learn from it. Can you please elaborate on this thought, on your philosophy, on your design philosophy?
So what my take is, mine is a very unorthodox journey, and we were living in a city which was, which was a core city, and lot of hustle and bustle and traffic and all those things were there. So way back maybe in 97, I requested my parents that we have to move out, because I don't know, matlab, at that time sustainability was not talked of, and uh, there was not much movement about green buildings and green movement also. But I was very firm and very clear that I wanted to be with nature. I wanted to live in a place which is close to nature in all respect. So this was, I would say, this was almost maybe 25 years back, when I was very new to the profession. So that was also the time when I started observing, and when I started seeing things around me, when I started doing projects, although very, very small projects in the beginning. But one thing was very clear, that the thing which brought me peace was nature. The thing which brought me peace was when I was able to look out from the window and I could see the green. So when we decided, and it took a lot of effort and time for me to convince my parents, but eventually they got convinced, and then we moved out. But I really think that it really helped me in terms of evolving my thought philosophy. And when we designed our own house, it was something which was, every room of the house was facing green. And I think I always also feel that a designer should try to design in which the projects, they should merge with nature rather than standing out. And at times when we see the city line, when we see the profile of the city, we think that every building is trying to compete with others. And that is actually not my way of thinking. I would really, I really appreciate when the buildings, they merge with nature and become a part of it.
So that's what I've noticed about especially residential projects, that they are not imposing, but they looks as if a part of their surroundings, their landscape. Do you do your landscape designing as well? Because they are almost like an extension of house. They are almost like it's been placed. A house is placed is between landscape. That's how beautifully they are placed. The other thing which I've noticed in your residential project is they are very sunny and airy. Whatever little photographs I could see, they are very, very airy and sunny. I could see that, okay, there is, I think wherever we have seen the pictures, we have found out there are big windows, there are big openings, there skylight is coming in the house. So as you rightly said, that you design house amidst nature and not trying to impose your design in the surroundings and on into nature. So I think you have also done justice to your philosophy when you are saying this, and it is very, very evidently seen in your projects. So that one philosophy you talk about is not being part of nature, being surrounded by nature, and that gives you calm and peace. And that is when we want to move from philosophy to your design process, because I'm an artist, I'm a painter. If I take a big canvas and put a red dot, and if I say it is my artwork, I'm not supposed to justify it to anybody. It's my artwork. But architects cannot do that. They have to think of end user. They have to think of functionality of that space. So it is more like a scientific approach to creativity and design. So how do you go about it? What is your process when a big piece of land come to you, and how do you process it? What is your design process?
So what we do is, we have evolved over a period of time, in a way that I always think that design is a very dynamic thing, and it cannot be a static thing. It has to, eventually it has to cater to people. It has to cater to the lifestyle of the people, and the design, and there has to be a balance between, the user centric and the designer's imposition. So there is a lot of education which happens in the design process. Having said that, so whenever a client approaches me, so maybe a couple of meetings just goes into the discussion, so that we come at a common kind of platform. wherein I try to understand the lifestyle of the client, how he lives, what is his culture, uh, what is his exposure, whether he has been exposed to the world. Then we also try to understand, we go into the minute details, who cooks in the house, what kind of storage systems they need, and all those details. And those notes are made personally by me only. Still, we try to work in a philosophy, because unless I understand my client nicely, it becomes very difficult. So small and small details are noted down in those couple of meetings, and then we start our design. So of course, the input from the user is already there. So the design which evolves specifically adheres to the input from the client. Then when we are designing, then I try to ensure that how I can bring nature into the house, how the interiors and exteriors they can become one, how the elements of nature, which are very basic, very simple, common sense kind of thing, that we have a proper daylight. Most of my projects, I would say almost all of my projects, they don't need any kind of light during the day. If I see that any project is requires to have a light, artificial light during the day, then the whole team brainstorms on it. We ensure that there is no artificial light throughout the day. We try to ensure that there is proper cross ventilation in the system. We take care of the directions, where the sun rises, what openings have to be given in which direction, which is very very basic. So once the plan is done, then we have an audit kind of team, like the designers, the senior and the young designers, they sit on the plan. Now what is the value addition they can, the client has already confirmed the plan, but then there is still a gunjaish of doing some kind of value addition, that we can bring in some skylight, we can make some small opening from here, the sun, when the sun will move from east to west, so it will create a very interesting skyography inside. So all those small small things then we discuss before going into the working drawing stage. So I enjoy this whole process, in which we can predict the design, how the design would perform when subjected to the elements of nature. So that kind of predictive design happens, and we enjoy, because that outcome surprises us, that outcome encourages us to design it this way.
See, that's what is very, very visible in your project. And one important thing you said, that each client has a different requirement, and you yourself look into it and you figure out the requirement and then you design. That's why it is not Manish Kumat style housing you're doing. You are catering to so it is your signature style, but it's still different than your previous project. And I think that's what made your entire portfolio very, very interesting, because it keeps changing with the client. And there could be a joint family, there could be a small family, and they have different requirements, as you rightly said. So you know so it cannot happen without a solid philosophy, which you already talked about. So now the second part of it, once you process the architectural part of it, and you are also doing interior of it. So architecture and interior, when you're doing together, it is an extension of what architecture has already delivered. And then in that interior, you take liberty of creating your own handles. You can create on your own ceilings. You create your own doors. So you gave a beautiful body, and then you put a lot of soul into it while you are doing this. And that is why your designs are very, very at par excellence. Then ready to pick stuff put in the house. They're all feel like customized. They it feels like it is meant for this house, and it won't fit into some other house. So when you design interiors, the processes are the remains the same, or it changes with the interior. Because see, when you are doing architecture, you are taking care of ventilation, you are taking care of sunlight, you are taking care of the flow of a space, you are taking care of the connectivity of the house from each other, from the rooms and stuff like that. But when you design interiors, so you are also designing a room for a grandfather probably staying in the house, or maybe a 10-year-old boy living in the same house. So that there it varies, it varies from room to room. So how does your process work there, and when you design interiors?
So what happens is, in our office we don't separate. the teams, when they are working for architecture, the moment the plans are ready, there is an interiors team which starts doing the layouting part also, because we as a design philosophy, we as an office, we think that both the macro level and the micro level, they should be addressed together.
Okay.
So when we are doing the layout, of course, again the client comes into picture, and now we are living into a world where the exposure in terms of social media, exposure in terms of Google's and Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook, and people traveling across the world. So that is happening at such a huge uh, speed that everybody forms their own philosophy. So it is becoming increasingly challengeable for a designer when he meets and talks to the client, and they come with very different expectations. There are themes which are to be done, what kind of theme they are looking for, and all those things happen. And at the same time, a designer who is also the director of a movie, I consider myself as a director of a movie, because there are so many things which are coming up, and at the end of the day, whether it is script writing, whether it is the dialogue delivery and everything, it should happen properly. So lot of interaction and discussion happens, and at times, at the end of the day, the project has to come out good. That is the objective. So then we explain the client that yes, we encourage the client to give a design brief, what they are looking for. Sir, we have traveled to this place, we stayed into this resort, when I saw this friend's house, and then they would say, somebody, I like this kind, all those things, they happen. I think typically it must be happening with every designer. So
Yeah.
so what we do is, first of all, we encourage the client to give a design brief. Now, when we say design brief, we encourage them thoroughly that whatever you have liked in your life, whatever which has been your inspiration, you come out. So there is the client opening up. The client opens up, and then we say that you keep this compilation ready. When we will do the designing part, we will discuss that. So that compilation comes to me, then there is again a couple of debates, because that compilation may not match, because the exposure of the client in terms of design is limited. So that thing is again debated, discussed, and the fine creasings are removed, so that we both are on the same platform. So this is a very interesting task which we do. But we do it at the micro level, which we call as interiors. Of course, ergonomics for me is very important. Of course, simplicity in furniture design is very important. Uh, Basically, the trends may come, the trends may go, but the
Yes.
simplicity will always remain. So
Yes.
you can understand that how much education must have gone behind the back, because client at times he is looking for something like palatial. He is looking, maybe the house is small, he is looking for something which is the way the kings lived. But then he forgets that the size of the room, the proportions of the room, they don't allow. So each and every step there is a design process, and over a period of time, now there are people who connect with my design, and uh, I think that is good, because we also like to take those assignments in which the design connectivity is there and people are comfortable with the kind of work which we do. So ergonomics is being taken care of. Simplicity, not everything can be a focus point. The focus points have to be defined. That is what the role of the principal designer, which is me, is there. So you cannot overdo on the ceilings, you cannot overdo on the flooring, you have to create nice focal points within the interiors, which are soothing, which are timeless, and that is the way we try to approach interiors as a design process.
And you have think handsomely strike that right balance of not overdoing and not underdoing. I think you have strike the right balance of doing that in your all the projects. But since we are talking about the projects and dealing with client and making them aware of things, what is possible and not possible in their project, can you think of any project at top of your head which you thought was a milestone project or a difficult project or some project where you had to get out of your comfort zone or you had to really do your homework or undo your homework or something like that? If you have some interesting and experience to share it with us,
So usually, I think every project is challenging in some way or the other. But I can, if when you ask me to immediately, the few projects which come to my mind is, we long time back, I was also associated with Art of Living Foundation, and
Okay.
I was the apex member for the state. At that time, they asked me to design a school, which was the first school in Madhya Pradesh.
Hmm.
Before that, we hardly did any school. So I went to Bangalore Ashram. I saw their school, and since the resources were meager and the project had to be done in a rural area, not actually in the core urban area, it was on the suburbs of the city, which was with the purpose of imparting good education to rural kids. So the project was challenging, because it was coming with a very small budget. So that project was interesting, and the way it got finished and completed, it got featured in lot of magazines, and it was done in a very small budget. So that project was interesting. Then we did a 125-year-old club in the city, which was at the British times, which was initiated by the British,
Hmm.
and then that is called as the Residency Club. That project was initiated, and we wanted that the old character of that British, that those sloping roofs and that veranda and all those high ceilings, and that is kept. And again, a contemporary touch to that is being given, and some kind of connection with the city is established. So it was a public place. So when we did that, so again, that turned out very well, and we were able to complete it in a budget which was lesser than what was sanctioned. Uh, Thirdly, I think I am also very satisfied with the office which we did for ourselves. This is our
Yeah.
third office, and I always believe that there should be not much time. It should go into commuting. So all my three offices, which is this is the third office, they were very close to where I live. So I have never wasted any time in commuting.
Hmm.
So this was again a very small plot, very small building, but yes, it was adjacent to my home. And when we did it at that time, being a Jain, I started practicing aparigraha also, having very limited needs in life, and so we wanted to make an office which was very energy efficient, which respects the nature, although on a very small footprint. So at that time, green buildings were talked, but there was no awareness about green movement in a city which was a tier 2 city like Indore. So we started from scratch trying to understand things, and eventually now we are the smallest platinum
Green
rated
building.
green in the country. We
Yeah.
are the smallest 5-star rated green building in the country. We are the most water efficient building in the country. So all those recognitions, they have come. Each and every drop of water is being used. The way the building is designed, even on a small 1500 square feet plot. So it gives us immense satisfaction, and I think that people should demand, and people should look for sustainability in whatever they do.
Absolutely, because I've read a lot about your small green building. It's won a lot of awards, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, and you did. So thank you so much for doing it. The residential project, residency club you talk about, the Colonial Club was in Indore. It was in Indore. It's just
Yeah,
situated
it
in
was
Indore.
in Indore, and usually I don't. I am not into government projects, because somehow I am not very comfortable doing it. So when I was approached to, because the club is headed by the commissioner and the collector, and they take, and it is a very old legacy in the center of the town. Lots of old trees, and very nice, but not maintained, and everything was there. So when we were asked to, initially we said that we are not very comfortable working, because we want our own design freedom to be there. But then they convinced us that we will get and we will get all the support which is required. And when we completed it, it was really appreciated and liked by the members of the club, by the people in the city. And we have used a lot of natural materials, local materials, and we were able to complete this public buildings. And immediately after, they increased the fees for the club by almost 50%.
So it also helped the economy of that club. Yeah, so that very interesting fun fact that you shared with us. So what I observe, one more thing in your projects, a lot of wall installations. You know, there are a lot of walls where there is an installation happen. So I see there is an conscious decision of using art in your project. You also buy contemporary art and young artists. And I see that effort and a conscious decision of using original art instead of taking or buying print or buying some over the shelf solution. So how do you incorporate art in your project? Is once the project is done, or it's while in the process of making that project? And what kind of art you would pick up, and what do you seek in art when you want to pick up art for a client, and how it is different when you want to pick an artwork for yourself? Can you please talk about this?
So this is very interesting. What I think is we as designers, most of the times we go overboard and we design very flashy designs and all those things. So maybe few. When I say that design is the whole process is an evolution. Even I went through the journey. We were designing very flashy projects and all those things were happening even with us. So somewhere maybe I would say 10 years or 12 years back, when I was the founder chairman for Indore Institute of Indian Interior Designers, and we went to Sri Lanka to on an education tour to study architect Geoffrey Baba's project. And then, he became an inspiration to me that even projects can be designed with a lot of simplicity, and they feel connected. You connect with your heart with the projects. So that brought some change inside, and then we thought of doing this in our project. And then I also understood that art and design, they cannot be separated. They are actually integral. Right from medieval times, when architecture was there, there were rock paintings, there were cave paintings, and all those things were already there. So we consciously we make an effort, because wall is a very important part of interiors. I think this is one area which is extremely visible. So we gave a lot of emphasis on the walls, because the moment you enter a space, the wall is the thing which is most visible. Then how to do a wall? Then a lot of things were thought of. But then a few years back, we thought of why not to do walls by incorporating our own vernacular craft forms and art forms. And we started exploring those mediums. So we collaborated with Baya Art in Mumbai, Shibani Jain. Then we started doing something, and then the results were very interesting. It was perhaps a first kind of effort in the city, where the art and craft forms of the country, where the artists, they comes from different places, and they are doing those kind of wall arts on the premises directly. So it also reminds me of Michelangelo doing Sistine Chapel, and even at that time the kings were promoting art. So we took client into confidence that let us try to do something into contemporary architecture and interiors this way. So then we started doing terracotta from West Bengal. We started doing Madhubani. We started doing Thikri from Udaipur. We started doing Lippan from Gujarat, and all these forms into real contemporary interiors. So this fusion of those art and craft forms of the country, along with these modern lifestyles, this created at times very interesting fusions. At the same time, we also thought that why not promote the art fraternity of the country? Maybe the kind of geography which I come from, it is not Bombay, it is not Delhi. The affordability is not that people can buy MF Hussain or uh, some senior artists. So, but then at least we thought that there are some young artists who are doing good work, and they should also be promoted. Then we started looking for them. We started collaborating with them, and they became a part of. So over a period of time, we have handpicked many artists from all over the country. Lot of good work is happening across the country, and that was the time when I met you also in an exhibition, and we discussed that. So, because projects, they need art. I need art. And since we are doing so much work, so art has to be there. The walls cannot be blank. So some kind of artwork should be there. But then, uh, being from Indore, there was little bit limitation that we were not getting good artwork. There were only a few limited artists, and since the project quantity was more, it cannot be that those same artists can be repeated everywhere. So we started collaborating recently. Just few days back, I was invited to be a chief guest for an award ceremony which had to happen for architects. They were small works, and uh, when the organizers, they called me, so I told that so they have collected these works from all over the country, and they were small works. But when I went and I saw the exhibition, I was really filled with joy that very beautiful work has come from all over the country. And then I could not resist myself. I also bought few artworks myself for me, and then I suggested those works for my client also. So I think art is something which is you cannot separate from design. That is integral. Anybody who is into design field has to get in touch with those artists and collaborate and get the work done.
Yeah, but where we in my interaction, because I work with a lot of young and emerging artists, and I also work with a lot of leading interior designers like you. And they have one thing to say, कि Ruby, by the time we are about to finish the project, client से art के लिए अभी budget नहीं है. एक चीज ये होता है. दूसरा, the other thing which is, oh, we are out of budget, all the project is done, so they would probably use one of the most expensive tap in the bathroom. But when it comes to buy a single good artwork, they have an excuse. But what I have seen in your project, that you have very successfully, handsomely managed to convince your client to put a lot of art in the project. So you must share the secret, that how do you convince your client to use art? Because what I've realized is, there is one excuse we always heard from architects and interior designers, that people are not willing to buy, and people have one common excuse, that we don't understand art. So when your client said that we don't understand art, what do you say to them?
So basically, what I think is, it is again a part of education when a designer is meeting client very often. So in the very initial stages, it is being conveyed to them that art is integral part of the design. So when we are giving our design proposal, we are putting a space for the art. That yes,
Okay.
some art is going to come over here, and we also tell the client that, sir, look, without art, it is your attire is not complete. A woman who is nicely decked and wears a nice sari and jewelry, but then there is no bindi or there is no necklace or something, so the whole thing does not make an impact. So what we tell them is that हाथी निकल जाता है, पूंछ रह जाती है. Don't do that. That पूंछ का impact is almost more than 25%. Huh? and
Okay.
uh, and the cost involved is hardly negligible. So we
Okay.
are able to convince client that, okay, you keep, depending on the budget, we tell them beforehand that this is there and it has to be done. Without that, it is incomplete. Huh? So that is where the clients agree, and they do. I don't think now the clients are willing, the client, but the thing is, of course, the affordability segment, I always request the artist also that the art should be visible. It should not, it should not be priced so much that it is not affordable. It should reach common man. It should, uh, it should be appreciated. So unless the art is visible, it will not reach. So there should be a there should be a movement from the artist community also, that they should make the art visible, because otherwise what would happen is that it would just become decoration, and we are not
Yeah.
looking art as a decoration, we are looking art as a integral part of design.
So everybody, attention, young designer and architects who thinks that they are not able to convince their client to use the authentic art. Mr. Kumar said it is part of your integral process of designing and articulating your design. So you have to start sharing this thought when you are already actually sharing your design for the first time. And the other word of advice for young and emerging artists of India, that you price your artwork wisely. If your artworks are lying in your studio, who's going to look at it? But if you are pricing your artwork wisely, then they may flow it, out of your studio and reaches to people's house, and that is the ultimate goal of art, to reach out to people and to be in the environment where it add values to that environment. So two word of advice by Mr. Kumat. Now and we are also taking note of this, and we are also going to tell this to our young and emerging artists, that listen to Mr. Kumat and be part of his beautiful projects. If you don't price them wisely, you are not going to be part of their project. The other thing which I would like to say is, we also talk about this at length in Mumbai. So this is how you would convince your client to buy an artwork. But as an interior designer, you are very sensitive about your surroundings. You are very sensitive about your design process. You are very sensitive about art. So if you have to buy an art piece for yourself, for your house, or probably your room, how will you, and what will you pick, and what will you seek in that artwork? What would be that one thing which you would feel, oh, this artwork is for me? What would be that one thing?
So what I think is, it is like immediate, spontaneous. Like
Okay.
I'm not a painter, or I'm not a sculptor, but somewhere something connects immediately.
Connect.
Okay, so that is the first thing. You should desire the art. You should feel that I want to possess this art. That is the thing which comes. Okay, there is something which happens inside, that yes, this is what I'm looking for. And over a period of time, then I would say little bit we also learn what is a good art. I would say that my understanding would be limited, but still we learn, and I try to see the effort. I try to see the originality which has gone into it. So there are times when I can understand the kind of effort which has gone into it, and the kind of originality of the concept. So I think these couple of things help me in choosing an art. And just few days back, I had this idea that I would slowly try to become an art collector. And,
No, it's a
uh,
very good thought. Hold on to that.
and maybe because now over a period of time, from all over the country, I have some small some pieces, something, some sculptures, some things which have become a collection, and I would like to have a very small space which I can call it a, I don't know, an art museum or something. But this weird idea also came to my mind.
No, it's a very beautiful idea, and you must hold on to that. And if you remember, when we were in Mumbai, I talked about my art foundation, and I would like to share, and I'm very happy to share that this year our foundation exhibition is happening in Delhi, and we received around 2,400 artworks, and
Wow. Wow.
even from Andaman Nicobar and Mizoram and places I have not heard of. So as you rightly mentioned, that there is a lot of talent. All we need to do is just look around and be sensitive to it. And I think we are taking every note of it, and we are going to have a masterclass with young artists, and you will have to take that masterclass. That please, you be part of a design process, but for that you need to think wisely, price your artwork wisely. So we will conduct a master class with you. So you talked about how young artists should price that artwork and stuff like that. But now the other challenge which I feel, and a lot of, see, I was talking with Kena Ben, and I was talking with Hiren Patel, is also very senior interior designer, and he said, Ruby, these days youngsters, they don't want to have a mentorship, or they don't want to work with anybody. The moment they're out of college, they start their practice, and they want to do everything very fast, and it is like quick fix design solutions. in your generation, or let's say in our generation, we had a process, we learned our experience. You were so humble and honest in confessing and sharing with us that before 10 years I also felt that we did some flashy projects, and you realized that no, I want to undo things, and I want to unlearn things rather than undo. Unlearn things which you have learned so far, and then come back to your zen state and do the minimalistic projects. So you did, because you could see, you could see your project unbiased and as third person, and pick and choose things which were right for projects, and let go of things which you felt is not right for the project. You did that because you did the journey, you after so much of experience. But let's talk about the young generation of designers. The moment they're out of college, they want to start the practice. As you rightly said, there's a lot of social media pressure. There's Instagram, there's Pinterest, there's a mood board available for every room and every place and every corner of the uh, house or a residential project. So what would be your word of advice to a young designer, young interior designer, and how they should pursue the practice, and what do you suggest? What should they do as a young designer?
So what I always say is that of course there is a lot of glamour in the design now these days, with so many events happening across, and designers becoming demigods kind of thing, and young designers, thinking that yes, this is such a lucrative field and all those things, but somewhere they forget that it is a journey, and the journey is a journey. It cannot be that overnight the things can be achieved. So whenever I go to colleges and I interact with students and young designers, I always say that you should give yourself 10 to 15 years,
Wow.
wherein you need patience. And in those 10, 15 years, the objective should be developing a tendency to always learn. Still, after 30 years, I think that the field is so dynamic, that I am trying to constantly update myself in terms of designs, newer design challenges, newer materials, how it can be used, so that learning does not finish. That learning is an ongoing and never going process. So for young designers, they should not fall into the trap. It is actually a trap, माया जाल भी बोल सकते हैं इस फील्ड को। और इस और इसमें क्या होता है, कई बार young practices, they try to take a shortcut, and when
Yeah.
they take a shortcut, of course they will achieve some kind of results, but then एक तो होता है ना कि आप स्लो एंड ग्रेजुअल जा रहे हो, और एक होता है कि आपने एकदम यू लिया। अब जब आप एकदम ऊपर जा रहे हो, तो यू कुड नॉट take the nuances of the field, and then the chances of falling would be more. So I give lot of importance to integrity in the practice. I give lot of importance to learning in the practice. I give lot of importance to client satisfaction. And then when you go on this process, so the मतलब मुझे आज भी याद है कि 15 साल तक मैं प्रोफेशन में आने के बाद भी मेरा ट्रैवलिंग हॉबी है, और मुझे लगता था कि मैं ये कहाँ आ गया हूँ, मैं घूम नहीं पा रहा हूँ, मैं देखना चाहता हूँ और मैं देख नहीं पा रहा हूँ। And I did not have that kind of money for maybe first 15 years of my practice. But then, things start falling at place. What you require is a patience. And the moment you are happy with whatever is available to you, but you are just focused in whatever you are doing, then those things will start falling. You will get so many opportunities. You will get so much recognition. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि try to dream big, and have patience. Eventually, everything would fall in place.
Yes, the word of advice, young for young designer, and I think there are no shortcut to success. That's what we also tell our young artists, that you have to keep re-exploring and exploring yourself, and keep learning and unlearning your on your path, on your journey. And I was about to ask about your passion of photography, because on your website there are some amazing photographs we could see, and at sometime maybe I can come to Indore and we can just create a slideshow of your fashion, your photographs. So what I wanted to ask is, the passion, you said you get little time to follow it, but still you do it, and wherever you get a chance to travel, you would travel, and wherever you get a chance to, with your busy practice and busy schedule, I'm saying, you are still traveling and clicking pictures. So when did the love with the photography started, and how you have, maintained the hobby and took it to the next level of passion?
So again, yes, this is very nice. Now photography is extremely close to me. And few years back, when a group of designers, we went to Leh and Ladakh, from Manali to
Okay.
Leh by road.
Oh,
So when we came back, and I had at that time bought a new camera, and the kind of results which came, I have never learned photography as such from anybody. So the results which came, then all of a sudden, and that was also the time, maybe few years back, we shifted from our second office to our third office, and my second office was in the basement. So this idea came that why not to convert it to an art gallery. So
okay.
let me put my own exhibition first, which was only an invitation. So all those things, they happened, and Ladakh initiated, Leh and Ladakh and the whole topography, geography of that place. It initiated photography inside me, and then I put my first exhibition, and we call it Padav. So
Yeah.
every year we put it. Every year I put this exhibition, which is Padav, and I invite and I work. For 10 days. I don't do anything in the office, and I try to write poems. Each and every photograph has a poem, and that poem and those words become a bridge between my philosophy and the picture, and a very different kind of format that is. But when we did it for the first time, and I called my friends, my relatives, my clients, and all those people, and it, usually in winter times we do it somewhere in December, January. Again, we intend to do it in another couple of months. So traveling was my passion, and then traveling I was taking photographs, and when those photographs, some of them, they came good, then I thought that why not put an exhibition. And that way, the photography and traveling and photography, they went together, and I look for now an opportunity to travel and do photography.
Perfect. So, what I would like to say is, Manish Kumar did not only do journey professionally, but he also did his journey internally and internalize his passion, complete the loop by clicking the picture, traveling to that picture place, taking the picture, connect to that place, write a poetry about it, and articulate it and share it with his loved ones. So next time when you are having your exhibition, I'm coming to see your Padav this time for sure. And one of the most honest and one of the most heartfelt conversation I had, because normally I have talked to a lot of senior designers, and nobody has ever told me or ever confessed that in my practice I have unlearned things and left behind things which I am not wanting to do now anymore. So I think one of the most honest and one of the most, it's a very brave thing to do. When you said I did some flashy projects earlier, but now I realize that you don't have to, and that's the way it shows your personality, which I always, a lot of people have told me that he's like in Zen state, and he's one of the most simple person to interact with, and that's what my experience with you whenever I've interacted with you. So I'm very glad that we did this interview with you. And what I've learned, there are a couple of learnings from your interview, and what I have learned today is, I have always been a learner myself, and I keep learning. But what is my take home from interview is, you know, also being honest and be brave to say that what I've unlearned, and what I probably won't be that brave to say that I've unlearned those things. I quietly learn and let go of things, but I would not say that bravely probably. But I think I've learned that it's okay to say that, and it's okay to say that, I moved on. So I think that's one of the best thing I've heard in this interview. The other thing which I loved about your honesty about, starting a practice small. People these days, they any size of, it's not the size of the project. What Mr. Kumat said, Mr. Manish Kumat said, it's not about the size of the project. He said, in initial career of my life, I did small projects, but those small projects were a stepping stone to the large projects. And in those small projects, he did his learning. He explored himself as a designer. He experienced space. He experienced interior processes in those small projects, which helped him to become today what he is. So when I talk to young designer and they let go of project because this is size was small tha, project was very small, so I didn't want to do that. So I think no, every project, it's not a size, but the intention which is important, and that's what is matter at the end of the day. So I think a lot of learning, a lot of fun facts also about economic change of that club. So I think it's a very very enriching experience with talking to you, Manishji, and I think we love talking to you. We learned a lot of things today, and we should do it more often. And next time we are coming to Indore to see that club, we are coming to Indore to see your Padav exhibition, and let us know when you're doing anything of any kind of creative process. We would like to and love to be part of it. So thank you so much for your time, and it's one of the most beautiful conversations we have. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.